Oh, my camera's really dirty. There's a huge shine mark, or not shine, hopefully that fixes it. A little bit, not a whole heck of a lot. See, image control. We'll see if we can brighten this up a bit. That's too bright. Let's go at 0. It's a bit better. And let's go to this one. And that one. Back to this one. Let's play around with it. Okay, I think that looks a bit better. That's too dark. White balance. This is awfully blue. And there's this. That's in the camera. Okay. I think that works. So hello, welcome. I'm just playing around with stuff and you guys are all in one spot. This is awesome. Oh, let me see. Can we all do portrait mode? No. Yeah, I'll be playing around with this even more, but here we go. So let's get started. My name's Charity Lowe. I am a photorealistic portrait artist, but I actually don't really get paid for my artwork directly. Like my artwork, I get to keep. It's not sold, but I do get paid to make advertisements with the process of creating my projects. So this is what you're watching. You get to watch my process. Sorry, I'm not fully ready for this, and I don't know why I started the live quite yet. I guess we're not doing a close-up shot today, because I can't find my little my little pencil holder or my phone, homemade phone holder. So anyways, my name's Charity Lowe. I am a photorealistic portrait artist. My job though is making advertisements and tutorials and also going live on the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. So as long as I can make videos out of them for advertisements, I get paid that way. That doesn't mean I don't take commissions. I do. I also have special discounts for exclusive exclusive discounts for certain things that I get if I get to do certain things with the videos. So if I can make it into a live lesson, and it's 100% free to get a portrait done for you, if you let me make it into a tutorial or an advertisement, then it's 65% off. And then my full prices are actually based off of how much I get per hour by the app that I work for, because all of the commissions I do cut into my day job hours, because I really don't have any more time to spare in the day when it comes to doing commissions. So it needs to be worth my while. This one is a special themed drawing for Women's Day. This is a lady who was not just a famous actress, but she was also an inventor, and she pretty much invented the first version of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So she is pretty important in our technology world that we live in today. Now, I can't remember her name off the top of my head for who she is exactly, but I'll be having a video with the little details about her life in a future Vinci Eye App thing. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So I'm just using a HB pencil, light pressure and circular motions. I'm also holding the pencil at the very end. This makes it easier for me to control the pressure to make sure it's nice and light, and also use the side of the pencil for better coverage. All of this helps with blending. So I'm going to take a tissue paper, wrap it around my finger, and I'm going to do nice big circular motions. Oh no! What are you doing in here? What do you want? You want to hide? No, you can't lock yourself in here. I'm going to have to lock you out. No. I love you. You're sweet.
I'll beat.
No, you gotta go. You gotta go.
I'll beat.
You want paint? Okay. I don't know where the paint is, Jenya.
No.
It's up there. Go ask Uncle Richard to get you set up with paint. Come on. Uncle Richard, she wants some paint. Sorry guys, I'll be right back. Okay. Number 1 rule, lock the door. Especially if I have my face camera, my headshot on, because I don't want to have my kids in the videos due to weirdos. Okay, sorry about that. And I didn't even count in my times for all this stuff. Oopsies. So I'm going to be on for a couple of hours. So, where's my HB pencil? Where did it go? There it is. It's hiding. Here, let's put on some music. I'm going to put on some music by one of my friends. Going to his YouTube. Fiction 1515. Or I don't know, is that how you say it? I might be saying it wrong. I apologize to my friend. So using the HB pencil, I'm just gonna keep on layering it until it gets to the right shade. I'm just gonna slowly build it up, especially with parts that are just slightly brighter or darker than the rest. That's why I want to build it up slowly so I'm not doing too much, even though graphite is very forgiving. So even if you do too much, you can still play around with it. You can erase it and start all over again. And then we're going to work on the pearls. I'm going to turn off the strobe feature. And then have it so I can just barely see my pencil. I'm going to start off, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fill in the entire area lightly. So I'm still going to use the HB pencil just to darken it up a little bit. Still light pressure and circular motions. Do you need paper, Jenya? Okay, I'll come get you some paper. I'll get you some paper. But you're not coming in here anymore. I'm coming. Here you go, baby girl. Love you. You're welcome. We're just filling in all of that space with a little bit more graphite. And then we're going to blend it in, smooth it out. And then we're going to take our electric eraser, and we're going to pick up all those little highlights, the rounded highlights. So something that you probably, like something you don't see on camera is that I'm streaming what I see on my phone onto my TV above me. This allows me to do larger pieces and makes it a lot easier to see because, or more comfortable to look at, because I don't like stretching my neck to look over onto my phone or tablet. It might not be perfectly placed, but that's okay. We can play around with it still some more. I just want to kind of get it going. You can see that some of these strands, like lines of beads, are changing position, one being on top and then moving to the bottom. Did we do this one already? Yes. So it just needs a quick tap. There we go. So those are all the highlights to our pearls. What is this? Okay, so we're gonna take our I think we're gonna take the HB pencil and do little crescent moons underneath all those little all underneath all those little dots that we did. And we kind of want them to be, they look like their crescent moons are kind of on the bottom left of these. That is going to be too dark. Where did my HB pencil go again? I have too much junk on my table. There it is. So we're going to go do a crescent moon right next to each and every dot. We don't have to put a lot of pressure on this. We're just doing underneath every single dot, every single highlight. And then we're going to take our small blending stump and we're going to go over each one of those shadows just to soften it up some more. Jason, I'm working. Ask Uncle, is Uncle Richard even up? Tell him I said it's okay. Okay, we can erase some of those, like work those little shine marks on the pearls, making them ever so slightly bigger than what they were. We got, well, it's almost done for the individual pearls. We still have a few little details, some darker pearls on the bottom because the shadow hits them so they don't have that shine mark. And then also we need to do another shine mark underneath each crescent moon. Just little crescent moons underneath those darker spots. So there you go. We got some pearls. Now we just got to work on a little bit more details. A little bit more details on the shadowy parts at least. So we're going to take, I think, the 6B pencil. And make sure it's sharp before I use it. And then we're going to just fill in some of those really dark sections on the necklace. They're kind of like diamond shapes. They're like the gaps between the pearls that we're trying to do. We're not working on the pearls, just the gaps between them. So we got that going. And then we're going to take the small blending stump and we're going to smooth it out. Just push those dark little marks we put on the paper, push that right into it to get rid of like the little white spots that are within those dark areas, make it more of a solid color. That's one reason why you should like use a blending stump or something like that, is not just to smooth out the edges, it's to just make the shades more solid. Now there's some pearls that are just right here. They are quite a bit darker than the rest of the pearls because they're underneath. There's no highlights on it except for like the under reflected highlight. I'm going to take the mono eraser And then we're going to pick it up some highlights underneath the, like at the bottom of the pearls on the bottom here. And there we go. I think we are done with our pearls. How do they look? How do they look to you guys? You guys can't really see it right now. Okay. I think they're good. Okay, now we can go into the little like ruffly part of her dress. There's just a small section that we can see right now. So let's use the HB pencil. And we're going to add those little stripes. Do you know what I just remembered that I forgot to do? I forgot to do a time-lapse recording. So you can go into the recording, turn it on. I've already started doing this earlier, so it just resumes from where I left off before. And then I'm doing a time-lapse video. Kind of want to do this for my TikToks. Post these on my TikToks. And then I'm also going to add a little bit more graphite on the skin right here. Let's turn on strobe so I can compare my reference photo to the original image a lot better. I'm just going to add a little bit more graphite here in this corner on the skin. And then we can add some more graphite on the ruffle as well. I know it's just a small section, but it will all come together. So we're going to take the tissue paper and wrap it around our finger and just blend it. So I think we got pretty much the hardest parts done. It looks like I need to add a few more shadows with the pearls. So I'm going to take that 6B again. There's just a couple of them that are here that I really should put on the page. Then take that small blending stump and blend it right in. Now I just want to let you know, if you're learning how to draw, I recommend watching some YouTube videos because there are so many techniques out there that you can try. And then you just kind of take from videos that work for you, what makes sense to you. There's really no right or wrong way to draw portraits. There isn't. And just tell you, if you're doing photorealistic portraits, the most important thing is proportion for that. And then second is your skills and how you can use the pencils or whatever mediums you're using. You need to learn how to do those. And that's something you can't trace. That's something you have to learn on your own. I'm just adding a few shadows underneath these pearls here. Using the HB pencil, and then very lightly I'm going to add that line where the strap of her dress is, that little shadow here. And up here. Because there's a, I like to try to stay away from the lines, but lines are just shadows and highlights touching. So you don't put lines on everything if you don't see them. Just a few little spots. Then we're going to take that blending stump, again, the little one. I'm going to blend out the shadows underneath the necklace and also those lines we did before. And then we're just going to follow it. We're not doing any circular motions. We're just going back and forth in the direction of those lines. And then for the little shaped shadows, then we can kind of do circular motions within that shape. And then I'm going to take the HB pencil and I'm going to start building up the shadows, the tone of her, not the tone, I don't know what to call it. The shade of her skin, we're going to build it up. It is slightly darker than her dress and the straps of her dress. So circular motions, light pressure, holding the pencil closer to the end. This way you can use the side of the pencil instead of the tip, making it so much easier to create a nice, smooth finish when you start blending. And then that space in between. I'm also going to build up that shade too, just to darken it up a little bit. That's one thing. Oh, really? My phone just shut off. It's because I'm doing too much on the phone. Resume. Let's zoom right into where we're working on. Lock focus. Opacity, tools, strobe. I think we're about there. It's because I still got so much going on. That's why it's shutting off on me. Because I'm streaming it to my TV. I am also streaming it to the Amiibo, which is streaming it. Well, and then I'm also filming the time-lapse video. It really doesn't like me. It really doesn't. And we're building up the shade on the arm, trying to kind of match the rest of it. Again, circular motions, light pressure. Holding the pencil at the end, this way you can use more of the side of the pencil than the tip, all making it easier for blending. So I'm going to take a tissue paper, wrap it around my finger, and draw in, blend in circular motions. These are nice big areas, so you can do some fairly large circles. If you go over those little lines of where the strap is, if you go on top of the strap, that's fine. We're still going to play around with it a little bit. You can just blend it right in there. I think that's pretty good. I think I might just add a little bit more shadow right here. Oh, that's too dark. Keep on grabbing the wrong pencil. Pay attention, Charity. Pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, we're gonna fill it in just a little bit darker than it was before. You can also just kind of, Jason, I'm working, honey.
I can't fix the dishwasher because it's still drying.
Well, then you can wait.
But how long does it take?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. It's really not liking me today. We can more focus on the reference that's printed off than the actual app that we're using. So we can kind of have a better idea of it as a whole. I know I could just zoom out on the app, but I kind of want to have it as like a place to save for where I've drawn and where I still need to draw. I'm going to take a meat eraser and I'm going to bring up that little highlight that's on her strap. I'm going to make a nice small little piece of meat eraser and I'm just going to drag it across with light pressure. I'm not pushing into the paper, just dragging it across. And then same with the other strap. Kind of have a guideline from when I was doing the breakdown mode to help me place this highlight. I'm gonna just drag it across. It's a nice soft highlight. And I think we can do a little bit of a sharper highlight close to, like on the one side of the strap. So I'm using the mono eraser, just go down it. Just to help shapen it up, sharpen up the edges a bit. And go back in the meat eraser and pick up some of the graphite that's between that line we just did and where that highlight is. And do we have that same thing? We do on this one as well, but it's just right where the highlight is. There's a nice sharp line. Oh, come on. Okay, just give me a minute. I'm gonna turn this off for a minute. Just turn off this camera. Ooh, this is making me mad. I'm gonna try shutting it off and turning it back on. Shut off. Turn off phone. Sorry, just give me a minute. I don't like technology sometimes. It's just because I have like 3 different things I'm making it do. Well, like it's working the app. It's streaming to Mevo Go, which is streaming to everywhere. And then it's also streaming onto my TV as well as filming a time-lapse video. So I'm overloading it. But let's just see if I can get it to stay on. I might have to give up on time-lapse videos. Oh, let's just not do it. I'm so sad. I'm so sad and mad that I'm not able to do the time-lapse video. So we're going to experiment, see if this works. Just turning it off. Turning it all off. I'll bring it up in a minute. Just give me a minute to get it right where I was off, where I left off. Okay, connect. Got it. So we'll put the strobe back on. It's because I can't see the anchor. That's why it's doing that. Turning up the opacity to its fullest so you can see the differences between your reference and the photo. Making it super easy to see the differences so you can change them to make them look as close to the original as possible. Now I'm going to make a shape that will fit nice to that strap, kind of like a foot, and then I'm going to dab and pick up to just pick up ever so slightly where that strap is. I'm just playing around a little bit more, fixing the shapes of some of these things here while looking at the Vinci Eye App. And then again, I'm going to pick up some of that graphite on the strap just by dabbing and picking it up. Trying to use a shape that is very similar to the size of the strap itself. So some of it I'm dragging and some I'm dabbing. I'm just blending out the edges a little bit and putting a little bit more graphite back to that spot that I erased, but not super much. I'm just using the graphite that's already on the Best Viewers Streamboo.com. Remove the space. No, I am not going. I'm not clicking on ads. I'm not doing it. If I get viewers, I get viewers. If I don't get viewers, I don't get viewers. That's totally fine by me. I am not paying anybody to get me more viewers. I'm just not doing it. So I'm going to take a very small piece of the knead eraser and I'm going to work on some of these little ruffles, some of the highlights. They're very soft and subtle highlights. That's why I'm using the knead eraser. There we go. Let's just take a quick look at some other things just to make sure they're right. We can look at the app to look at things to see if there's any changes we need to make, or you can look directly at the reference photo that we got printed off here. So there's a bit of a highlight on the necklatage, is what somebody else said. The collarbone. We're going to just dab and pick up just to create that highlight. It's very soft and subtle, so you don't need to pick up a whole bunch. There's a little bit of a highlight just above the necklace going down the neck. Is there any other minor highlights? Probably a little bit underneath the collarbone too. Let's just make sure the highlight above the collarbone is in the right spot. I think I need to bring it down a little bit. So just dab and pick up. And then there's just a slight highlight just underneath it. It's a bigger area. You just dab and pick up. And same with a little bit of a highlight in between the straps. So dab and pick up. Then we're going to blend it out again. Guys, can you hear me? Yeah, you guys should be able to hear me. I don't think you heard me for the first little bit. I'm going to turn off that. And then just slightly blend it so it softens it up a little bit more. Okay, now we're moving. Wait, let me see. Gotta check one more thing. That hair. I gotta work on that hair a little bit. I'm gonna go straight and using the 6B pencil. And I'm going to add a little bit more strands of the hair. It's not perfect. We're gonna fill that in and then we're gonna blend it out. That was the only thing that was left to do on that section, was that hair. And we're just gonna push it right into the paper to make it a nice and solid shade, no little white spots. Okay. Yeah, it seems to like me better when I'm not trying to do a time-lapse video. So we're gonna move it over till we can see the edge of the shoulder. And I'm gonna stop the strobe for a minute. And we're going to have it so we can just barely see the pencil. So we're gonna turn down the opacity until we can just barely see the pencil. And I think I might go with my mechanical pencil. I'm going to just trace the inner part of where the light and the dark meets, where the shoulder meets the background, just barely right on the shoulder when I'm doing this. There is a little highlight on the top part of it. I'm going to skip over that. It's kind of reflecting, so it's a very, very soft highlight here. So I'm just going to leave that alone. So now that, and let's actually do the strap too. Let's do trace just on the darker side on the skin where it touches the strap. Let's bring this. I don't know what to do with my lighting. Okay, turning on the strobe again. The outlines will help us stay in the areas we need to stay in and also have it so it's the right shape. Okay, so did I turn up the opacity all the way to its fullest? We'll start with the HB pencil and we're going to slowly build up. I'm going to leave that highlight just on top of her shoulder alone, but I'm filling in the rest. That really bright highlight. It's not super bright. It's not super bright, but it is lighter than the rest. So we're just gonna fill in the rest. I'm using light pressure and circular motions, holding the pencil closer to the end, trying to use the side of the pencil rather than the tip of the pencil. And this allows for, all of these steps allow for nice, smooth textures once it's done. I'm going to go with the 6B now, and I'm going to try to leave this section alone, and yeah, just the bigger section. I'm going to try to leave that alone. I'm going to mostly focus in the really dark sections actually, and try to build those up to the right shade. Janya, I'm working. What do you need, honey? There's a reason why you have a babysitter right now, Janya. And then now we're gonna slowly work outwards, getting lighter and lighter. So we got pretty dark to the darkest we need in that section, and then we're just lighting, getting lighter and lighter, filling in those spots. Just nice and slowly. And then I'm gonna blend it all out using a tissue paper wrapped around my finger, going in circular motions, also kind of trying to follow the shapes. So the lighter area, I'm kind of just like going around it instead of inside of it, especially in areas that I didn't add more graphite to. And then we just smooth it right out. And we're going to take a look at it as a whole by looking at the printed copy of it. And the little spot on our shoulder needs to be brighter than it is on the page, on the drawing. So I'm going to make a fairly large stamp with the knead eraser. I think it can be a little bit smaller than that. And then just flatten it out. And then we're just going to dab and pick up. Push it into the paper and pick it up. And then we're going to blend it out just around it, not inside of it, just around it, so that the edges just kind of disappear. They just slowly, gradually disappear. Now there is a bright highlight on the end here. I'm going to take the mono eraser, initially just carve out the shape of the shoulder. And then we can make a small little piece of the knead eraser. Dab it, and then dab it on there, pick it up. This creates a nice soft transition. Makes it look like it's glowing. You want it to make it look like it's glowing. And I'm also going to darken up some areas on the shoulder still, mostly on the edges. So I'm going to take the 6B pencil. I'm going to take the 6B pencil and we're going to just shape out some of those darker sections on the arms. This will help make the arm pop out from the background a little bit better if we get those. We can exaggerate them a little bit just so that it pops off away from the background. And then we also need to add a little bit more graphite right here. This needs to be a bit darker. I'm going to take this small blending stump. We're going to drag it down. And drag it. We're just dragging that graphite to soften up the edges. We're following that line. We're not going in circles or anything like that. We're just following that line to soften it up. And then for this little spot right here, we'll do some circular motions to kind of help bring it into the rest. Now, we can soften up those lines we did on the arms a little bit, but make sure you're blending in a circular motion on the inner part of those lines. And we're just doing a small bit of it. We're not doing it on the outer side, on the background. We're just doing it for the skin. I feel like the strap needs to be slightly darker right here, so I'm going to use that blending stump. I'm going to drag. It's got graphite on it, so I'm going to drag it upwards, just to kind of put a little bit more graphite on there to make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to take the mechanical pencil and just define that line that's between the skin and the strap. It needs to be a little bit darker there. And then we can take the blending stump and just follow that, just to soften it up a bit, just a little bit. And I think I might do the same on the other side, just to kind of define it a little bit more. I'm looking at my reference photo at this point. And then also on the other strap, we can get a little bit of a darker line on the other strap. And take the blending stump, follow those lines, and soften them up just ever so slightly. So now we can move on. It's going to get kind of interesting because now we're working on fabric here real quick. So I'm going to turn off strobe temporarily. Ooh, we got some nice silk pillows that we need to work on and some fabric, the rest of her arm on this one side. So I turned off the strobe. I'm going to make it so I can just barely see my pencil on the screen. And I think I'm going to start off with the HB pencil. And we're going to trace the shapes of the arm. Here's the shape of the arm. And also like some obvious highlights and shadows. And then shaping out her dress. And shaping out the pillow. Just the shadows and the highlights. We're doing the shapes of the shadows and the highlights on the pillow here. So that just helps with the placement of things. We're so close to being done this. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it today. So now we're going to turn on the strobe again, turn up the opacity, and I'm going to go straight into the 14B pencil and then just fill in those really dark areas. I'm going to try to avoid the arm except for like right where the armpit is, but I am going to fill that in, all those really dark areas. Doing circular motions and light pressure as of right now. We can add a little bit more later. So this bottom part here, I'm going to completely fill it in all the way up to the dress. Again, circular motions, light pressure. We want to be able to play with it a little bit more. So if we put it too dark right away, we might not be able to get it accurate later. A little tip about how to pick your pencils. I'll go over that real quick. So you don't have to use the exact pencils I'm using to create these pieces. So get yourself a pencil set of your favorite brand or a brand that you can afford. Because my belief is like, if you can do really good portraits with not the best quality of pencils, then when you actually are able to invest in some good quality pencils, then you just elevate your current skills. You don't need really expensive pencils to make good artwork. So when you pick up a set of pencils that you want or that you can afford, organize them from hardest to softest. The hardest pencils will be like the H pencils with the biggest number. And then you just work down to 1 or just H. And then you do HB is the right in between the soft and the hard pencils. And then you just count upwards to the largest B. So it should be like 4H, 3H, 2H, H, HB, B, B2, B3, B4, so on and so forth. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your hardest pencil, which is the H pencil with the biggest number, your medium pencil, which is the HB pencil, and then you're going to get the softest pencil you have, which is the B pencil with the biggest number, and then something in between your medium pencil and your darkest pencil. So most common would be for pencils to choose from is 2H, HB, 4B, and 8B. But depending on the set, the pencils can go to like 4H all the way up to 14B. Is usually the biggest range that you can get with some pencils. What's up, Jenya? What? You want more paper? Help you with what? Okay, I gotta go. I gotta figure out what's going on. I'm gonna stay live though. What's up? Do you need a hug? Ugh. Do you need a hug? I need to work. I know, but I'm live and I don't want you to be on my live feed. For your position. What's the position? Go downstairs. Go downstairs. No. Jenny, I have to work. Yes. Go downstairs, honey. Yes. I'm gonna have to tickle you. I'm gonna have to tickle you. Go downstairs. Go. Go downstairs. I have a babysitter here, so she's bothering me because she loves me. But I am getting paid for this, so I need to not have her in my videos. It's not safe. So we're going to go over those dark areas again, and we're building it up even darker than we were before. Jenya, I need you to go downstairs. Drink? Okay, I gotta be gone again because my daughter needs something to drink. Where's your sippy cup? I'm back. I am so sorry. I'm back. I am back. So I apologize for that. Even with a babysitter, I still guess have to babysit my own kids. Okay. Oh, there's my little stand. That would have been nice to have earlier. I was wondering where that went to. And I need my phone. Just bring this over here. See if I can bring this one this way. How's that working? I think that looks pretty good for... Okay, so I'm going to unplug my phone. That makes it look better for doing advertisements. Okay. So I am doing an advertisement as we speak, just starting to film for it. My name is Charity Lowe. I work for the Vinci Eye App to make tutorials and advertisements for them. And these live videos are my behind the scenes footage of these videos. I do a wide variety of things, but my specialty is with portrait work, with graphite or colored pencils. But I've done things like wood burning, stained glass painting, fabric painting, and I've used other materials like soft pastel, watercolor, pencil, acrylic, pen, and I've also done window paintings and murals, a whole bunch of different things. Cookie decorating too is another thing. And so I do all these different things to make all the advertisements and tutorials interesting, and those are all posted on the Da Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. I also go live and teach. I teach art on their YouTube channel every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. These videos are full from beginning to end of how I create these art pieces. So, just give me a second. I gotta stop this. Hello. Are you done?
No, I'm just on lunch.
Okay, because I'm on live.
Oh, okay. So I just checking to see how things are.
Yeah. It's been hard because, like, Jenya's been nonstop bothering me, and so has Jason, and he's whining because he can't get his chores done because the dishwasher's still on. So, yeah.
Well, it's weird that it works. It's like, most kids will be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go off and play then.
For a little bit.
Be happy that they aren't having to do chores right now. It's just like,
I need to do them now or never.
yeah. Oh, I
Okay, thanks.
okay.
Yep.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye. Okay, back to filming. Hello?
Can I have an ice cream cone?
Sure, Jason, I'm working. I haven't been able to do anything. She letter and she. I don't know. I don't know what you said. Okay, so I'm gonna take the blending, I'm gonna blend it out using a tissue paper wrapped around my finger, and I don't care, especially on the pillow, I don't care if we blend it into those highlights right now. We can still play around with it a little bit, but we're just trying to push that graphite right into the paper so it's a nice solid shade, no white left except for where the white is needed. And those would be the highlights, and they would all still be kind of solid shades, all of it. Now I'm going to take the knead eraser. I'm going to work on those highlights on the little pillow here. I'm just dragging my knead eraser. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it, just a little bit to pick up some of those highlights. I'm mostly focusing on the reference photo than I am the app at this point. Just plugging in my phone again so it doesn't die on me. So it looks like not having to do the time lapse, not having the time lapse video going is really helping with the app not shutting down on me. So I am right. I'm just overloading it with things to do, which is kind of sad to me. But I'll have other videos up, like these lives, little clips of these lives. I might try to post some other videos, like maybe a picture reveal, a drawing reveal, or clips of the final advertisement on my personal stuff. We'll see. Now that we've got these highlights in, they're a little bit sharp highlights. I'm actually going to do some dabbing and picking up to kind of help smooth out those highlights a bit. And then we're going to go over it again just around the edges. I'm going to use a blending stamp just around the edges of these highlights. It'll help kind of sculpt in those the shape of the highlight a little bit better too. Still not quite satisfied with it quite yet. So again, I'm just gonna dab it and pick it up. And then also there's a small, very faint highlight right here. And another one right here. So I'm slightly using a sharp edge to pick those up. And then again, it seems kind of counterintuitive to use blend it out with a tissue paper. That's just to darken it up ever so slightly because it is a very faint highlight. Now we are going to work on the bottom part of her arm. I'm going to start off with a 6B pencil and we're going to build it up. Pencil sketches are my biggest nightmares. I love pencil drawing because I feel like I have more control over the fine details, and I am a perfectionist when it comes to the fine details. So I'm going to use light pressure and circular motions, holding the pencil at the end, trying to use more of the side of the pencil rather than the tip. And this holding it at the end is also helping me have a lighter pressure so I don't gouge the paper. And all of this really helps with smoothing it out the texture. We're just slowly building up that shadow under her arm. We can focus a little bit on the app to see the differences between the two, or we can just really focus on the reference that's printed off in front of us. I had to make one of my friend's I had to make one in my final year of high school. There we go. I got a 21 out of 100. 33 is the passing mark, and I was the art club president. That sounds rough. Sounds very rough. But honestly, there's so many different things that you can do with art that the grades you get in school are just redundant. Like they don't really mean anything in real life. Like we have Picasso, and we have a whole bunch of, I can't think of other names right now. Why can't I? Jackson Pollock, and a whole bunch of abstract artists that are famous and they don't really do photorealistic stuff. Picasso did for a while, but he's like, this is overrated. I'm just going to express myself instead of trying to copy art, like photos and stuff. But I enjoy doing photo portraits and stuff like that. I really do. Because I like control. I like to control and every detail and make sure it's perfect, because I'm a perfectionist, and I think it's part of my upbringing is, yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't know. It might not even be happy. I mostly do digital paintings now. I can't do digital art for the life of me, so everybody has their strengths and everybody has their weaknesses, and mine is definitely digital art. I cannot do it. I used to be able to, but it's just not a thing anymore for me. It was when I had no art studio to work in that I was doing digital art. I like making paintings which look a bit messy, and you can see each stroke in it. That is a really pretty, I have to agree, it's like really pretty to be able to see each individual stroke of a painting. I'm going to use the HB pencil to kind of start sculpting out the shadows of the little ruffle or creases in the dress. I'm doing light pressure and circular motions, and it is a little bit more small details, so I'm holding it more in the middle of the pencil than either end, because I still want to try to cover up that space as best as I can, but I also want to control it to make sure that it's not going outside of the areas that I'm shading in. And then I'm going to take the small blending stump and I'm just going to blend that in a little bit, pushing it into the paper, making sure there's no little white spots. And I think I might, let's just take a look. Let's take a look at the reference in comparison. There's one thing I need to change that I've noticed on the highlight of the pillow. It needs to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go over that whole thing with the tissue paper wrapped around my finger just to soften up that highlight, making it a little darker because it's not super white. Let's see, is that better? I think that's better. My lighting on my face. Why is everything so terrible for lighting? It used to be perfectly fine when I was in the other place, and now everything needs to be changed. Let me see. Brightness. I'm not in a dark room. It just looks dark. Even my table looks dark. It's kind of frustrating. So I'm going to work on that. Okay, now let's compare. The highlight under her arm is still darker than it is on my paper, so I'm just going to also kind of blend it around to bring that highlight down a little bit. I got distracted, so now I got to get back to the dress that she's wearing. I'm going to shape the knead eraser into a nice long pointed, very finely pointed tip. And I'm going to drag out the highlights. And just drag it along where the highlights are. And then every so often you're going to need to play around with the eraser just to clean it, make it sticky again. Because the graphite or any other mediums that you use, it will just kind of not be sticky anymore. So again, we're going to drag it right in the highlights. Drag it right up. And then we're also going to drag, there's still other highlights that I'm going to drag across. Is it right here? I think it's right here. Just drag it. Drag. Just soft. We're not pushing too very hard on this to create those highlights. And then I'm going to take the Mono eraser for a little bit more control, and I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight just on the bottom here. Not very much pressure. This kind of helps with separating the pillow from her, but there is also like a very light highlight on there. Very subtle one. It's a little bit too light, but we can fix it by going over it with a tissue paper wrapped around your finger and then just drag beside it to soften that highlight up. But it does sculpt it a little bit more away from that pillow. So I think that's pretty good. Actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit more, I need to sculpt out her arm a little bit more by adding some more graphite underneath her arm. So I'm going to use the 14B because this is a really dark section. It's almost black. And we're going to trace out her arm a little bit with that 14B. And then fill it in. And also darken right underneath her armpit too. I need to get that a little bit darker. Then we're going to take a blending stump and we're going to just push that right into the paper, making it more of a solid black or really dark gray. Just really pushing it in. And then I'm going to take the tissue paper again, wrapping it around my finger, and just going side to side on the bottom of her arm. Because that highlight is very subtle, I want to darken it up a little bit. I'm just going side to side. And I think that's pretty good. It is a little bit too straight for me. So I'm going to add a little bit of the shadow that's kind of curved just above that highlight, just so it looks more natural, like it's not as straight. I don't want it straight. I'm just gonna curve that. I think that looks a little bit more natural than it was before. I feel like that area still needs to be a little bit darker. I'm very particular about my stuff. I'm insane. Got tested. Just kidding. I do have some things, but not insanity. Okay, so going back to the 14B, still need to darken up that shadow right here. And it needs to be in a bigger space. So I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on here, not enough that it's going to gouge the paper. You can feel when you're getting too hard on the paper. So just, yeah. Then we're going to use the tissue paper wrapped around your finger again and blend it out, nice and big strokes. And then we can also go over that highlight again, just to kind of darken it up even more still. And I think that's looking a lot better. Okay, I think we can move over a little bit to the next section. We're going to start darkening her skin first using the HB pencil. Where is it? I don't have very many pencils and I still lose them. We're darkening up her skin, doing light pressure and circular motions. And if you go over top of where the dress is, it's not a big deal. We're not putting a whole bunch of graphite down at this point, so it makes it really easy to play around with still. So don't worry about going over where the dress is. It's okay. Everything's fine. And then we're going to blend it out. Wrapping that tissue paper over your finger again, and then softly blending it out. I'm using some big circular motions for this. And then I'm gonna focus on the picture as a whole, seeing if I can find some subtle shading. There's some shading on the left side of it. It's a little darker on the left side, so I'm still gonna take that HB pencil and darken it up still on the left side. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure than I was before, Still circular motions and holding the pencil at the end, allowing me to use the side of the pencil a little bit more. All of these little things, all of these elements that I'm using to draw is going to help with a nice smooth texture. And then blending it out some more. I'm actually going to turn off the strobe feature for a little bit and then have it so I can just barely see my pencil. And I think I might just use the 6B, maybe not. Let's start with the HB, and then if we need to do more than that, we can use the 6B later. And we're going to create those little shadows in the folds of the dress. Just doing circular motions, very tiny and tight circular motions so that we can keep those shadows right where they need to be because they're very small. It's a very small area. Okay, I lost my music. I ran out of music. So let's do this again. Okay. You can even add those shadows just at the bottom here too. Slowly building them up. We're gonna just pretty much what we're doing is just mapping out where the shadows are. That's all we're really doing right now. And it kind of just comes together. So you can do this, go back and forth. You can see that the shadows still need to get darker, but let's blend out what we have already using a small blending stump. I'm just blending in the direction up and down those the shadows because they're more of a line than like shapes. They're closer to being lines. So we use the HB pencil, right? Let's go in it again using the 6B pencil. I'm going to turn on the strobe now so I can see, and turn up the opacity so I can really see where it needs to be darker. It needs to be darker down here. I'm using light pressure and circular motions. Closer to the tip of the pencil at this point because again, these are very fine details. So I want a little bit more control than what I normally have by holding on the end of the pencil. I've been on TikTok for longer than an hour and it hasn't cut me off through Restream, and I am very happy about that because that was really bothering me the last few days when I didn't have it on Restream. So we're just getting those darker shadows in. We are kind of doing circular motions, but they're very fine, very tiny little circular motions because we don't want a super hard edge to these. Still want them to be fairly soft. Starting to come together. I'm just curious on what you guys can see here on TikTok. See, it doesn't show me the image in the one streaming platform I have, and I don't know why it doesn't show me anything. Like it did once. I was able to get it to show me the image on Restream. I did it once. Okay, I'm going to stop the strobe for a minute. Turn down the opacity so I can barely see my pencil. And it looks like I need to sculpt out her waist a little bit more. So it goes from here downwards like this. Needs to shape it a bit more. And then we can fill in that gap nice and dark. That's between the, where we already have the really dark area and then her waist. Get that nice and dark. And then we're going to use a blending stump to push that all into the paper to make it nice and solid. That was the only thing I wanted to look at, was the placement of her waistline. Empire waist. I find empire waists are actually more flattering on most people. We're turning up the opacity, going back using the 6B pencil, and we can go back to getting those shadows nice and dark in some areas. So you could put a little bit more pressure to make it darker, or you can use a softer pencil to make it darker. If you feel like you're going to be putting on way too much pressure to the point where you're going to scratch the paper, switch to a softer pencil if you can. Okay, now we're going to take a small blending stump and we're going to blend out those shadows, trying to stay in the same space as where we put them. If we did more of a line, then just go back and forth over that line to soften it out a bit, to make it more solid too. Don't want any pencil marks poking through if we can. Like the individual strokes, we want it to be nice and smooth. If you want to see the individual strokes, that is fine too. That is totally up to you. You are the artist. This is just the way I like to do things. Okay, I'm going to use the graphite that's already on my blending stump to darken up that ribbon that goes across her empire waist. We're just going to drag it across just to darken that up. Okay, now we got to do some highlights. So we're going to do a nice small section, like a little small pointed thing on the knead eraser, and then we're going to take it to those really bright highlights. We're going to drag it upwards. Just drag the knead eraser to pick it up. And we don't have to put a lot of pressure on these areas. Just go over it multiple times if you need to brighten it up even more. And then if your knead eraser stops getting sticky, then just play around with it a little bit. And then it'll get sticky again so that it can pick up those marks. What time is it? Is it time to leave yet? Because I was thinking about 2 hours a day. Nope, not quite time to leave yet. I do work on this stuff off camera too. So for these live videos that I do on TikTok and YouTube and my other streaming platforms, if it's under Charity Lowe's Art, I draw offline, but I do full-length videos on the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. Like I do it from beginning to end, the drawings, and I also have places where I place the reference photo too, so you can draw along with me in the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel. So it's every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30. 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. All videos that I do live get posted in the channel, and then it's on a playlist called Draw Live with Charity Lowe or something to that extent, something like that. And I think I might do some reorganization for some playlists for their YouTube channel. Like I might add tutorials by me and how to do stuff and get that done. You know what I need to do? I need to get a stand that instead of the one that shows to the side is more an upward above. I want to go to bed. I just want to sleep all day. And it's because of the weather outside. Because the weather outside is frightful. I'm sorry. But we had here we are having a late winter. Like we had nothing, practically nothing during the holidays. And now we're getting like a ton of snow. It's lovely. I love it. No, I don't. I don't love it. Even though I don't have to leave the house, I still don't love it. I'm just sharpening up some of those highlights. I just feel like it needs it. Especially around the neck. I need to sharpen up those highlights a little bit so that it kind of pops out a little bit more. Okay, taking my brush, and then I'm going to take that blending stump because there is some graphite still on there, and I can get some of those softer shadows with it. I think that's pretty good. I think we've got that down pretty good. Now we can move on to the next section. And I'm going to start off by darkening her skin using the HB pencil. Working with circular motions, light pressure, we can slowly build up to the right shade. And then I'm holding on to the end of the pencil. This way I can kind of use the side of the pencil instead of the tip. And it also helps me control my pressure a little bit better. So all of these things helps with a nice smooth texture at the end of it all. I'm going to take the tissue paper, wrap it around my finger, and blend it out. Nice soft pressure. Just to get a nice smooth texture. Now we can take a look at the photo as a whole and look for subtle changes in shading so that we can get a better sculpted look out of the drawing. So there is a shadow right in between her breasts, like normal. And we're going to fill that in a little bit darker than what we have already. So back with the HB pencil, doing a little bit more pressure than we were before. It's kind of coming from here to about here. And it goes up to about here. So we're just going to darken it up using a little bit more pressure than we were before. And then we're going to blend that out. Just wrapping a tissue paper around my finger and then just circular motions. And I'm kind of trying to stay within the area that I'm working on. Also, you can kind of see her ribs a little bit. I've noticed with the reference. So, and it's very slight, but I can definitely see them. So we're gonna do a few shadows going side to side, just darkening them up ever so slightly, still using the HB pencil, just adding a little bit more graphite. And then there's another one that's about right here. We're gonna add that too. And another one just underneath the necklace. Getting that a little bit darker too. And now we can, well, I'm gonna do a line down the center of those. Okay, now we can take our tissue paper, wrap it around our finger, and then blend those out. And let's see if we can find some highlights too, looking at the picture as a whole. I'm not really focusing on the app at the moment. So I'm going to make a nice big rounded stamp out of my knead eraser. And we're going to dab. So we're going to push it in, lift it up. Push it in, lift it up. Push it in. If you need to reshape it to fit the shape of the highlights a little bit better. And then push it in and pick it up. Push in and pick up. And I think that's pretty good. Now we can blend it out again, kind of just going over just the areas that we picked up. You can go a little bit outside of that too, just so that it kind of blends into the rest of it, but we're really focusing on those highlights. So, I don't know, how does it look? I think that's pretty close. Now I'm going to stop the strobe again, and I'm going to turn down the opacity to the point where I can barely see my pencil. And then we're going to use the HB pencil, and we're going to trace out those shadows. I'm doing light pressure and circular motions. This step is more of just placement at this point. So light pressure, circular motions. I'm holding the pencil like in the center. This way I can still kind of use the side of my pencil more than the tip, but it also gives me a little bit more control for smaller details. You can actually go on those lighter shadows and go over that too. Because we're not putting a lot of graphite on right now. I am starting to get hungry because it's it's just afternoon. Just try and drink some water to see if it can help with my appetite. Okay, I'm gonna blend it out first with a blending stump, and just following the direction of the shadows. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here. We're gonna do some more blending later and adding some more shadow to it as well. So this really doesn't have to be perfect at all. Nothing has to be perfect. I'm insane. I like to try to get as much detail as possible. You know what I really want to do though? I want to learn how to do hyper-realistic portraits. But do you know how long those things take to do? Way too long. You may be able to get maybe 3 large portraits done a year. If I'm wrong, let me know. If you're a photorealistic artist, I kind of want to know, how long does it take you to get photorealistic portraits done? And I know you have to kind of do really big pieces too, so that you can get all those little teeny tiny details in there. Like, there is a possibility there would be a possibility if I moved around this room a little bit to get some more space to do such things, but I don't know. I don't think I'm ready for that for time's sake. So now I'm going to go in with the 6B pencil, and I'm actually going to turn the strobe back on so I can see the differences between my reference photo and the drawing to see where I need to make some darker areas. And I'm still kind of holding the pencil a little closer to the center. This way I can still kind of use the side of the pencil, but I have more control over where the pencil is going. I think this just generally right here needs to be darker, so I'm just going to lightly go over the entire area to darken that up. Okay, let's go in with the blending stump. And with the little creases, just follow them. You can push the graphite in pretty good this time around. Just push it in, and then I'm also going to drag it up a little bit further than what I have. I'm going to go over it with tissue paper wrapped around my finger and just kind of going up and down with it. And then maybe circular motions right down here. And then now it's as much as we're going to do today, but I'm going to quickly go over some stuff. I am obviously a portrait artist. That is my specialty. but I work for the Vinci Eye App. I make tutorials and advertisements, and I even teach live on their YouTube channel. It's Vinci Eye. I do accept commissions for my portrait work. There's different prices for different budgets, like whatever you like. Certain things that you let me do with the footage of me creating your piece, I can give you discounts for. So if you let me use it for teaching, I can give it to you for free, which is like a live lessons. I'll give the drawing to you for free. It will be 11 by 14 inch drawing, whether that be color or black and white. And I do portraits like this for those commissions. If you allow me to make it into a advertisement or a tutorial, then I can give you 65% off. And full prices, my prices are based off of how much I get per hour by the Vinci Eye App, because I have no extra time in the day. So it will be cutting into the time that I spend with my full-time job with the app. If you don't want me to do a commission for you, you can join my lessons to learn how to draw like I do. So I use the Vinci Eye App. I have promo codes for the iOS to try the app for free for a year. The Android is currently free because they just posted their brand new version of it, which is just adding a social media platform to it, which the iOS already had. So the Android's free. There are a few advertisements for certain features that you can use, but it's a great opportunity to try it out now to see if you like it and want to continue with it. And for a lot of my videos that I make for the Vinci Eye App, it's not all just portrait work. I do wood burning, stained glass painting, fabric painting, quilling. I do murals, window paintings. I use soft pastel, watercolors, pen, acrylics. And then I don't just do people portrait and pet portraits. I'm willing to do landscapes and still lifes and pretty much anything that I can use the app with. So yeah, I'm a great place for all things creative, and I'm also a great place to find have somebody do commission for you. So you guys have a wonderful day. I really do appreciate some of the conversations that I've had throughout this. I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. They're all under Charity Lowe's Art. So if you want to follow me on different platforms, that would be great too. So yeah, again, thank you so much, and I am heading out.